welcome everyone. Seems like we've already got a whole pile of people hanging out in chat, having a good time. Apologies, just sorting out some music stuff in the background for myself. Oh, yo, they found a game to capture, but there's no voice audio. Check your mic. What's the dog saying? Voices? Do I exist? Can anyone confirm I'm being heard? It seems that some people are saying it's just a veer, and other people are saying I'm on the wrong side, which is a confusing mix of problems. If you can hear me, not Veer, I'm going to repeat that. Veer is currently trying to fix our odd technical difficulties. I exist, apparently, but I'm on the wrong side, and Veer doesn't exist at all. We're getting cam audio, but no Veer audio. I can hear no dog. That is unfortunate. Well, Veer is working away at the issue right now. I imagine it will be fixed in relatively short order. Until Veer gets that back in order, at least if I can still be heard, wrong side or not, I can provide answers from the wrong side, should there be moderation-based or Resonite-based questions to inquire about. I do hope everyone's been having a good weekend. It has been a scorcher up here where I'm at. Super humid, too. I basically live in a swamp, it seems, but, you know. Well, apparently we're back to the right side. I guess I'm back to the right side.
Okay, can you guys hear me then?
We're just waiting for a response because Veer asked if you could be heard.
Okay, I'm seeing yes. All right, good. You good.
Responses.
I also, imagine to answer Grand's question, Aldi, because we don't have Little here, apparently. But I do have an Aldi. Also, I'm going to take you guys out of the water. Sorry, guys, I'm soaking chat.
What is Little or Aldi?
Oh, you haven't even seen either one. Aldi, at least, is a really cool little, like, I think it's a German-based, like, grocery store that's, like, super discounted, like, has really good prices on their food because of the way that they, like, operate. They operate, like, very efficiently. And they also have, like, a really cool, just, like, doodad section that they, like, kind of replace all the stuff every month. So it's kind of fun.
Very nice.
Now, let me just make sure that you guys, I'm not, like, coming in twice here. Resonite isn't being recorded. Alert box. Audio output. Okay, everything seems to be good.
VT asking, when do the skeleton and how do the dog? Presently, for me, I suppose. You?
And hot. It's too hot.
It is
getting
quite
a heat
hot.
Advisory.
Egregiously warm. Exceptionally humid.
I think it's kind of fitting that we're sitting in kind of like a desert oasis right now. You know, it's hot and humid.
Ugh. Why did we come to a desert on this warmest of days?
I don't know. It was a bad idea, honestly, on my part. And I'm covered in fur.
Also, there's a lot of steam coming off this. This might be a hot spring, which seems like the cruelest form of water to find in a desert. That would be terrible.
Indeed. Oh, Draconis says I'll take hot over 3 tornadoes a week. Yeah.
That is a fair trade.
Grand says Thai punks. It's backwards Noppet. I don't know.
I'm going to go with yes.
I'm going to go with cooler weather. Please.
Yes feels right.
Yes.
Jack says, sand between fur is one thing, sand between skull fragments is another altogether, I assume. Yes, that sounds deeply uncomfortable.
Yeah, that sounds like a really bad form of, I don't know, some sort of bonitis. Yeah, gritty bonitis. No thank you.
I imagine if you bite into a sandwich, that's just like a deli sandwich. It's got like some deli cuts, maybe some mayonnaise in there, a little bit of lettuce, a little bit of cheese.
A little bit of sand.
Something goes like crunch and it's gritty between your teeth. Just imagine that feeling all over your body.
That's an instant appetite killer for me. I would just not be able to finish my food after that.
Just lie down, and maybe die. It's a way to solve that scenario.
God. Just imagine the friction. Oh, I shouldn't have read that out loud.
Deeply uncomfortable.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, hi guys. I don't know if did I do the spiel and you guys were able to hear it? If not, welcome to Resonite's Moderation Office Hours. I'm Veer. I'm here with Git. We're here to answer your questions regarding the moderation team on the Resonite platform, the Resonite guidelines, and any of your mostly non-technical questions about the platform. Keep in mind, we're not programmers, so if you guys ask us anything about like, oh, how do you null out something out of the database or what, I don't know what those words mean. I'm just a dog. He's just a skeleton.
These facts, these are true.
Yes.
Someone highlighted that our game capture is not full screen. Those black bars are just because this is like a premium rendition of the game. It's like movie quality, so you've got extra bars for the resolution. That just don't worry about it.
I'm gonna see if I can do this in VR. If this is gonna be painful, I'm gonna switch to virtual desktop for a moment. I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to hear me when I do that. Hold on.
Draconis asks, how much VOD did WAM to server?
3.
That sounds right. No, I think 7 is our go-to answer.
Oh, 7.
It is very common.
Sorry, I'm bad at math.
I don't know if it's accurate, but it could be. Cinematic Office Hour, says Jack the Fox Otter, and yes, exactly, that's what we're engaged in here. Veer is actively looking to lower the premium quality by making it full screen, just because you asked, but it is currently premium. That said, we appear to have a dearth of moderation questions, so I'm going to rattle through a number of sort of pre-cans. We have for the last few weeks been continuously talking about it, but Stripe is essentially good to go these days. Pretty much it's been in beta period, one could say, for the last couple of months, I think, as we've been encouraging people to come over and check out the sort of native subscription to Resonite. It's certainly something that helps the platform, and we try to help the users too as a sort of thank you for that. The reason we want people to switch over to Stripe or make use of our own subscription on the Resonite.com webpage, which is through Stripe, is because we end up paying less fees. Patreon, of course, always takes a cut of everything put through Patreon, and Stripe is just a smaller cut. You can get more details on exactly how that breaks down by going to basically any of the office hours and just hanging around to the end when Bob, the businessman, definitely businessman, does a bunch of businesses, will come out with a graph and often talk through the finances of Resonite. We try to be very, very transparent with a lot of this stuff, which is why... devoid of all the typical marketing flair, we can just come out and say, yeah, Stripe is more efficient, more money gets through to us, the platform goes further. If you want to help us out the best, head over to Stripe. Change your subscription from Patreon over to Stripe at the same value. You get all the same benefits, and depending on what tier you're going for, you might even get more. And it just helps us out a little bit more. On that last note, though, we do have, I believe, on Stripe a sort of year-long subscription for a reduced amount compared to how much you would pay if you were doing like $1 a month on Patreon, just to kind of cut the difference, give you back a little bit since we're making a little bit more from it.
On that note, I'm going to fold in half.
Oh my God! Who did this? Did one of you? Was this a question you asked? You're not allowed to just compress the mods like that. How are they going to do anything? Okay, well, let's look at the questions and see what happened. What is the space on being able to get who is a contact and whom in a session? Mintshock, I think you're going to need to clarify a little bit there. What is our stance, I imagine, on being able to get who is a contact of other people in a session? I'm sorry. This does occasionally happen. I'm not entirely certain what you're getting at for the question here. If you could reword it or clarify, I'd be happy to answer it. I'm just not 100% certain what you're getting at there, Mint. Rolling to the next one, we have Jack the Fox Otter asking, with the split knee coming up, as well as the planned marketing push afterwards, I assume we'll see a large growth of users pretty soon. How have you been preparing for that moderation-wise? And we've talked about this a couple times, but we'd happily chat about it again. A few months back, we kicked open the recruitment process for moderation, brought in a number of additional mods, and that wasn't necessarily because the player base had grown at that point, but rather a preparatory stage to make sure we would be good if things expanded after the fact. The mod team is, I'd say at this point, getting diligent training in that we do get a regular supply of tickets and we cycle people through fielding tickets and the various processes associated with moderation to make sure everyone knows how to do things. But honestly, we have more hands than we need right now. We are prepared for a good uptick in users. And of course, Veer, myself, and the Dante, the other mod lead, would all be well prepared to scale up moderation a little bit more if it was a very big user growth, since we've of course refreshed our training system, gone through it again with those new mods. If we needed to bring in twice as many new mods, we'd be able to handle all those processes quite a bit quicker now that we've brushed the rust off and are ready to go.
Definitely.
Are you did you unzip?
Yeah, I'm fully unfolded again.
Okay.
I've gone from pretzel to breadstick. But yeah, no, sorry about that, guys. I just realized, I don't know, Streamlabs didn't save any of my settings from the last stream, so that stinks. I'm still trying to sort of reorganize the everything here. Like even the chat box is now again back at the bottom. I'm gonna fix that. Let's see, transform.
Streamlabs is thwarting us. Well, while Veer works on technical issues, I'm going to keep chewing through our questions.
There we go.
VT has how many skeletons are in a spooky and a scary? I think a spooky is by default going to be a smaller quantity. I'm thinking like 2 or 3 skeletons. That seems reasonably spooky. When you get up to like a dozen or more skeletons, that's pretty scary. So I'm going to assume that's a scary of skeletons. A master asks, have you both considered making support tickets the process easier for users lately? I already made a GitHub issue about it. And yes, largely because that came through. But we have been thinking about ways that we could potentially improve it, and ways, of course, that we could make it easier. Some of these are long-term plans, and this goes beyond support tickets. We've talked in the past about how one of the main goals for moderation is, once we get some more dev time thrown our direction, would be things like in-game reporting. We would like it so you can provide a ticket to us, be it support or moderation, where you can append a log to the report inside of Resonite platform. Maybe you could submit as part of the report an audio log, so you could just explain it to us with your voice, because we know sometimes it's difficult to type inside of VR, but of course there'd be a text option there as well. Those sorts of bringing reporting into the platform would be very helpful, I think, in submitting reports. Of course, getting those logs, which can sometimes be a bit of a process otherwise. We do think the website is good. The current process in place has served us well at our current size, but as we get bigger, that's one of the things that we'd love to see improved. Of course, if you have suggestions, as a master had here, we always encourage people to bring things over to the GitHub, because again, well, me and Veer, we're mods. We're used to tickets, we're used to fielding tickets, but that doesn't mean we're necessarily the most technical people out there. If there are technical improvements one could look at for the system, by all means, you're likely to have fantastic suggestions that we might not come up with on our own, and the GitHub gives us a valuable resource to see these many different perspectives and craft the best solution from it. So please do give us that feedback. Yeah, we love it.
Definitely.
I would like to also say, it gets quiet sometimes in terms of mod features, sometimes for months between when we get like a mod update. The focus needs to roll back around to us. But when it does, it's excellent to have that bin of ideas, suggestions, and feedback waiting to get some good dev time thrown at it. So if you don't see an immediate response, please don't feel disheartened. Doesn't mean we haven't read it, we don't care about it. We're just, as mods, keeping an eye on it, thinking about how we would incorporate it, and then holding tight until we get a few dev cycles thrown in our direction. We have collected a few more questions.
Also, sorry if I'm getting quiet. I'm also just trying to get some login codes so I can end up raiding at the end of the stream.
Wonderful. I will keep chewing through questions then. We have a Draconis asking, given how good moderation is getting, when can we expect Moderation 2, the search for more money / Spaceballs reference? I don't know what our plan is for Moderation 2. I guess we'd probably call Moderation 2 to be, I'm going to say hard permissions. I feel that's really like the defining Moderation 2 moment, if not The marketplace standing up, probably paid, which is going to be a big moderation 2 moment. I know this is a joke question, I am aware, but I'd like to more seriously talk about it. There are big changes that are likely to happen to moderation as things come down the line, both users getting more robust tools to deal with things themselves, and us getting a much larger thing of things we need to take care of. That being, hard permissions, which gives you many opportunities to curate your own mod teams, your own little communities here on Resonite, and the marketplace, which is just a big thing that we're going to have to think through how we best engage with as a mod team, and what extra tools we can provide the community to help with. Oh my god, you've killed one of the bots. Draconis, I blame your question for this. I was mid-asking it, and he folded. That's probably on you, not me. Still, yes, there are a couple of big changes to moderation coming on the line as the development process gets to these new ideas and new places. So there might very well be a sort of moderation 2.0 down the line. Looking next, we have a clarification from Mint. Mint says, yeah, new keyboard where autocomplete is still a bit buggy. It happens to the best of us, man. I've certainly been there. Hell, I swear I get autocomplete when I'm speaking. It's just a problem. Mint continues on with, might be a bit technical, but using the cloud user info, you can't check the contact status of 2 users in a session. But there are ways to get that information in other ways. Is it okay to check this info between 2 users in a session, i.e. if you're trying to identify essentially is a user a contact of another user? Right now, when it comes to gathering user data, the general rule of thumb we have in mind for what's considered acceptable is I guess twofold, so it's a double rule of thumb. You have 2 thumbs, I guess this is appropriate. Rule of thumb 1, do no harm, don't be evil. If what you're doing is not likely to cause an adverse experience for other users, it's probably in the green light. If it could potentially cause harassing or disruptive experiences to other users, that's probably a problem. And 2, when it comes to what you're allowed to collect, if it's already in the logs, we're generally going to be okay with that. If you're collecting data outside of what's present in the logs, we might have a conversation with you. The logs do collect a reasonably large amount of stuff, but I believe it does not directly address contacts information between 2 different users. So gathering all of that could be the situation. We might have a conversation with you depending on how it was implemented, but by and large, I don't think it's going to be the situation where we will shoot you into space immediately. I guess I'd have to ask for additional details of what one hopes to do with just flagging this. How does this factor into an avatar permission system? You do have my curiosity.
I am looking at that question. So wait, is the question is it okay for one person to check the contact status between 2 other individual people?
Yeah, because immediately just identifying.
That would definitely be a privacy violation.
Yeah. So again, our standard is typically what you can find in the logs, and that's not something that's present in the logs.
Yeah, that would be a conversation with moderation at that point. Like if someone found out a way, if someone exploited a way to do that, if you find out about it, please make a security ticket. That would be a great thing for us. You can actually do so via the moderation portal.
Again, I do like to highlight, if you're just aware of these things and you're bringing it to our attention, much like this question was here, like I was saying at the end there, we're not going to shoot you to the moon. Coming in and talking to moderation because you found neat things or want to do neat things is not bad. You haven't done anything malicious if you've identified a thing and you came to chat with moderation about it. Sure, we might tweak that if it's not something we specifically wanted to have happen, but we're just talking with you. We're not going to be levying account restrictions at that point.
Yeah. Draconis here has a question. Non-joke question, but not quite moderation related. If I disable grab, laser, and touch tips on my left hand, for example, can I still laser, grab, and type stuff in my dash with the same hand? I think so. I'm going to test it though, because I can do so. At least I can disable grabbing. If my controller would stop jumping all over the place. Let's see.
The answer ought be yes, but I'm genuinely not 100% off that off the top of my head.
Turning off laser.
Nuki wandered into the stream and said, hello, Nuki, welcome. I hope you're having a good one.
You can still do it.
Nuki asks, do you all ever go to business part of meetings or otherwise dealing with business stuff? Yes, both me and Veer are part of the business team. We regularly attend weekly meetings for the business team and are occasionally doing other small hat roles inside of business, be it engaging with lawyers or setting up communication channels with people we might be working with, be it other businesses or influencers. That sort of stuff tends to go on in the background, so not much of it is very front-facing, but we're certainly part of it. Mint clarifies, in my case, I would just want to check between me and another user, but it would allow to check basically between two arbitrary users, and how this can be implemented basically leaks that info into global space. What's odd is, of course, I don't think I would have at first blush an issue with you checking whether you were in contact with someone else, but if you've identified a method that might be able to use it to identify it in other folks, as Veer mentioned, that could be a privacy concern. It isn't covered in the logs. It's something that we would have a data or privacy concern with. Please let us know how. Again, we're not looking to specifically blow up your system if you just wanted to check your contacts. Perhaps we can incorporate the fix for that into a manner that might allow you to access that for yourself in a way that'd be less frustrating. But it certainly is a concern that would at least have a conversation with moderation.
Yep.
Yeah, the Fox.
Thank you, Mint.
Oh, they're making an issue. Yes, thank you very much, Mint. Always kind. Jack says you can check this in an official way using the custom join verifiers if you're the host. That is a clever way to do it.
Cool. Sorry, go on. Oh, Canadian standoff. Yeah, kind of felt unintended, says Mint. Yeah. If you're able to actually see like the contacts, like information between two other individual people who aren't you, yeah, it's probably a mistake, somewhere on the end, like on our end. So something we need to correct.
Mm-hmm. Again, and the flip side of this, which is usually worth talking about, there are some things that are available in the logs that people are unaware of. Things like machine IDs, I believe, and IPs tend to get people the most often as a surprising thing to find in there. There are bits of user data that are regularly grabbed whenever one wanders into a session that are commonly part of the logs, and that's not something we're terribly worried if you've managed to identify inside of your whatever system you're building or thing you're doing. So it's worth asking every single time. We know that the rules might not necessarily be intuitive. I don't know if my voice is getting muffled. The cat butt got in the way.
You definitely got muffled. That was funny.
Here. He would like to be part of the moderation office hours. He has settled down. Okay.
Ooh, we got a post here from a master. When making a ticket, is it generally better to provide as much information as possible, or is there specific information you need in the ticket all the time, like username, user ID, machine ID, anything else specifically? Those things are very useful to have. Usually, how can I put it? If you're reporting something that happened in your session, generally it's very helpful also for you to just send us logs. We'll usually ask for those. So if you want to send those like by default, logs of the session, mind you, of where the incident happened, please do. That's usually very helpful. If you have any form of evidence, and in fact, we had a conversation kind of spark in the Discord about this. We were talking about video evidence. So basically, I've had some users ask, like, is it okay for you to send us video evidence? Yes, asterisk. If it is illegal for you to record in your country, I think Germany might be one of the countries that really doesn't let you record anyone without their permission, including up to dash cams. Apparently, are illegal. I don't know. I've only heard that as like secondary information, and I'm not a lawyer, and I haven't done a whole lot of looking into that. But certain laws may apply to you when it comes to recording users online. So make sure you're checking your local laws before you are recording people. But if you're within a jurisdiction where that's allowed, then yeah, go ahead and send us video recordings of like the incident occurring. That usually is incredibly helpful for us. If otherwise you can't do that, try to send us pictures, try to send us like, whatever you can legally send us. Just don't break any laws to send us a moderation ticket.
Absolutely. There's almost no situation where we're not appreciative to receive a log. Even if you're just providing testimony of things people were saying, sometimes this can assist in the investigation. This is not a specific a thing that happened, but as a pure hypothetical. If you say, hey, a guy came in and did all of these things, and you apply a log at the same time, and we can see the guy joined the session, and we follow through with the investigation of simply asking the other guy, hey, did you do all of these things? And he says, no, I never even joined that session. Well, now we immediately know that one of the people is providing us false testimony. I'm not saying that's how easy it is every single time. Very rarely would that situation actually occur. But still, it provides an example of how useful logs can be, even in situations where the things that you might be reporting are not immediately present in the logs. We're very rarely to be grumpy to receive that extra little layer of information. Always feel free to attach those. To the point that when we ever do get a reporting system in game, again, automatically attaching the logs would be quite helpful. Oh, Nuki asks, how often does the investigation have to go deeper than asking a couple questions? Well, we don't generally talk about specific tickets, so I'm going to be a little bit cagey when I respond in saying that while these things can occur, I'm not looking to do a report on or provide sort of proportions for how deep the tickets go or how often. I will say that it does occur. We have investigations that go on for sometimes days or even a small number of weeks if there's something very complex occurring. Sometimes we will get additional information from appeal tickets sent in that will make us revise our decision. These things do occur. There's no percentage case I'm going to drop right now. I can say that it's rare. But these things do occur out there. And of course, we have procedures to follow when they do.
We have a follow-up here from Nuki. I know having multiple witnesses listed or co-reporting helps. What else? So I actually want to correct that real quick. Having multiple witnesses listed doesn't necessarily help unless those witnesses are able to submit their own tickets with additional evidence. If there's additional evidence, reported, then yes, that can be very helpful. But just mass reporting an individual doesn't necessarily make a case like any better against that individual. We need more evidence, not just reports. I'm trying to think of what else.
All forms of evidence that can corroborate what you're talking about obviously apply. Yeah, if you've said testimony does count as evidence, that is true. Logs help carry out with the investigation. Video is obviously very ironclad. Screenshots that might hint at motivations or provide some context. If people have sent you things inside of the Resonite messaging system, that's very handy. You can perhaps screenshot that and append it to it. These are the sorts of things that are always going to be useful when it comes to unraveling what went down. We do offer the caveat that we have difficulty confirming off-platform messages. One knows that Discord messages, Twitter DMs, that sort of stuff can be faked, and we don't have access to Twitter. We don't have any ability to knock on Discord HQ or Elon Musk's house and ask for them to verify DMs or messages sent through third-party platforms for us, which gives us a difficult time using that as strong supporting evidence. Of course, we always say attach all available supporting relevant evidence. It's just we're going to handle things that we can't confirm with the appropriate level of uncertainty.
Yep. Yeah, apologies if I kind of sounded like I was how can I put it? Saying that, more reports don't necessarily help, but if there is additional testimony in those reports, that can help, yes. As we were saying earlier, as Skit was saying, testimony is evidence.
What we like, generally speaking, is just details. Well, I think this was a part of one of the earlier things that a master asked when making a ticket. Is it generally better to provide as much information as possible? Look, I will sigh a tiny little bit if you start with, X many years ago I was born, and then, that might not be great. But generally speaking, more information is always going to be better. If I have to read a little bit more to get all of the details about what went down, I'm happier than sitting there going, well, they told us a thing occurred, but they give us very little context for it, and we're sort of floundering.
Yep. Another question from Nuki. Question: as an age verifier, should we talk to you if we think someone is trying to fake an ID? Certainly, send us a report on it if you think that there's like something going on. Even if you're not able to give us evidence in the current running there, it's still something that we can keep for our records. See if there's a repeat in the behavior, if there's patterns forming.
Also, it's worth noting, we occasionally talk about this, the guidelines mechanic for how a person might be violating guidelines in that context is probably, I'd have to imagine, if you have an age verifier, you probably have a session requiring age verification. One of the things we continuously like to reaffirm is that session hosts have the ability to set up rules inside of their sessions. Usually those rules, those rules can go above and beyond the Resonite guidelines. You can't get rid of our guidelines, but you can add things on top. If those things are things like everyone has to be blah age, has to go through this process to gain access to it, and the person's breaking that, it's the equivalent of breaking any other session guidelines elsewhere. We treat it like harassment. That, of course, does mean we're not necessarily, as we often say, going to shoot that person directly to the moon the first time it is a harassment case, but we do want to know about that. We will take action if we see someone going into sessions with clearly set rules and just breaking those rules to mess with the host or gain access to places they shouldn't gain access to. We can help you. Just, of course, provide all available information whenever you submit the ticket. That said, we have floated past 4:35, so we're entering into that part of the office hours, technical difficulties aside, where we start saying things like, we're going to be running down a raid sometime soon, maybe?
We're
going to be running down a raid sometime soon. So if you have questions you'd like to ask us, ask those questions. If you don't, perhaps now is the time to start holding on to questions for next week. Of course, we're always going to be back same time, same location. Well, maybe not the same location, but viewable in the same location and a variety of locales.
Maybe somewhere a little bit cooler next time.
Possibly. Can we just go directly to the Arctic? Do they still have snow up there?
Oh, that would be cool. Well,
that's the point.
Maybe. Yeah. There's definitely snow in the Antarctic. Huge continent.
That'd be nice, too.
Nuki asks, how might role-playing run into moderation stuff? That's a little broad, but I'm very interested about the question. If you'd be able to, kind of broaden that out or, narrow that down a little bit for us, definitely want to answer that question.
There's certain obvious things that come to mind, like our old rule of thumb on harassment. Persistent unwanted behavior. That implies that everyone part of this role-playing thing are all right with what's going on. If people are not, well, then it's unwanted behavior, and if they voice that that's unwanted behavior and it keeps up, well, you've wandered into harassment. Yeah. I don't know if that's the situation you're talking about, but it can come to mind. Nuki clarifies with, I'm working on that role-playing system lately, and I want to know what I might put in the rules and tips. I would strongly emphasize consent for all players present, and make sure that everyone knows they're part of the game itself for engaging with it as a sort of immediate knee-jerk. A master follows up with essentially what I was going on too. I would imagine consent would be an answer for that. Maybe, again, you'd really want to emphasize that everyone is aware of what's going on, wants to be there, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Are we talking LARPing? Like live-action roleplay?
Get around the table in a D&D style, acting out some sort of tabletop thing, albeit in VR. We've seen a couple systems come along doing very cool things in that regard. That sort of stuff, I understand VR would be excellent for it, but again, you'd want to make sure that everyone who gets in there knows what's going on. Certainly if they're doing some sort of high-stakes drama that might otherwise be perceived as harassment or odd.
Are we rolling dice or people?
Yes. Nuki says talking about basically sci-fi LARP within Resonite worlds. Then you just want to strongly emphasize consent for all folks coming through, making sure they understand what's going to happen, and that when they come in, they know what's going to happen, and that they're happy to be a part of that, so that no one's caught off guard, I guess one could say.
Yeah.
Also, I suppose my recommendation would also be to include various caveats on the rule board about the sorts of themes and topics that are likely to be encountered inside of the world. This isn't strictly a harassment thing, it's just a politeness thing, basic etiquette. If you've got a whole bunch of guns and maybe it's a dark sci-fi world where there's some grim stuff going on there, let them know what they're getting in for when they jump into the world.
Yeah. Nuki asks, should I encourage people to put things in their user badges above their heads? Certainly. However, I'm just going to say a lot of the time people seem to forget to look at those badges or may have name badges turned off, especially in a role-playing environment.
Yes.
You know, because like it's an immersion thing for a lot of people. So potentially, but maybe even give them something that they can physically stick on their, like, you know, avatar, like a name badge or something. You know, with like little indication things. Jack says he usually uses default name badges. Yep. Sometimes I use them too. I don't know. I seem to switch back and forth between, you know, those are custom ones.
Now I can see my name. So if I show you, it's up there. And it's blue.
Actually, let's see. Does that turn them on? Nope. Okay, so I have this little thing that was like an MMC submission where whenever I open my dash, it shows nameplates. I love that thing so much. It's such a cool one. I think it was a 2024 MMC submission. Either that or it was this year. I don't remember. It might have been this year. Yeah, I think I started using it this year. I don't know. It's cool. Let's look for it. It's I think you just can find it by searching dash MMC.
Master asks, for terms of service things, do worlds and sessions need to also follow GDPR rules as well as Resonite should to their terms? Or is that an added layer that needs more thought to that for world creators? So I'm going to say that that's absolutely a requirement when part of Resonite. We already briefly touched upon this with the earlier conversation around recording. One of the major things we need you both inside of the terms of service and Resonite as a whole to do is to remain compliant with local, national, and international law, which is a bit of a mouthful, but it basically means please don't break the law. Please don't break the law around where you are. Please don't break the law compliant for your country. Please don't break the law compliant for any larger treaties your country might be part of, which includes GDPR. That sort of stuff Europeans have to generally be aware of. We are a European company, and of course everything on our end has to be GDPR compliant, but the things you're making yourself inside of Resonite need to keep that in mind if it's applicable to you. I realize that last if is a little bit weird, because again, we're a European company, so even Americans are going to need to be aware of those concerns, at least a little bit, when doing things in Resonite, depending on what you're doing. If you wanted to make a company in a game working inside of Resonite, you'd want to look into the GDPR yourself to make sure you're not going to run afoul of anything. It can get complex, I am well aware. So that sort of stuff we generally just encourage you to do your Googling, do your searching, and if you're looking to stand up a company, maybe spend a couple bucks and have a chat with a lawyer. It can be complex stuff.
Yep. Definitely make sure your world's not violating GDPR. Like, yeah. That's an orbital strike kind of situation. Like,
indeed. Thankfully, this is not a lawyer advice. I am not a lawyer, but if you're not involving money in any capacity, that takes a lot of the strain out of it. Not all of it. Data is very important these days. But if you're not involving money or data, well, that does get some of the biggest hurdles out of the way.
Good point to add to that, because we do talk about people age verifying for their servers and whatnot.
Yes.
If you are collecting, people's IDs, I highly recommend you delete them immediately after you verify anything. Don't store people's data. Just don't. It's not a good idea. It's not worth it to do so. Don't ever do it.
Draconis asks for the RP topic earlier. RP badges, like something that looks like what an IRL doctor may have. I don't know what you're referencing in regards to doctors.
Like a name badge, like a
so maybe.
Yeah.
I apologize. I'm unaware of the context. Nikki says, note on the music, Ballad of the Windfish hits home. That was the first game to make me cry at the end. Understandable.
It's actually my favorite Zelda song, is Ballad of the Windfish. I just really love the melodies in it.
Nuki says, tips for putting messages in worlds asking for donations. Would that be appropriate for me to do in, say, the Avatar Station? That's certainly very common. I can think of a number of worlds inside of Resonite where people have just like a tip jar that exists somewhere inside of a shared user space. There might be something that could come up if we're making worlds slightly more official in that regard, but I imagine at the tip jar level, we're not likely to have any significant concerns with you. Yeah, you'd probably need we're going to come chat about licenses and stuff if you charge people to enter your world, but tip jars are a considerably scaled back version of that.
Nuki also follows up with, what about commission ads? You mean like, let's say an artist who's like doing commissions and advertising in a world? Probably fine, but not in our, not currently in our, any sort of officially licensed worlds that, Resonite itself hosts. That's more of a business team question, if I'm honest.
Yeah, Nuki here clarifies. So someone told me one of the things they like about Resonite over Second Life or VOD is the lack of ads everywhere. We do have some basic guidelines about that in largely, honestly, our social spaces concerning advertisement. You'll see on the Reddit and the Discord, we will occasionally rein in the presence of ads. I think Reddit is, you simply can't make it blah percentage of your posts on Reddit. You can't be just going to the subreddit dump ad after ad after ad, or we'll politely ask you to go elsewhere. This year meant to engage a little bit with users here, not just do that. There's no, as it presently stands, outside of broader license worlds, I believe guidelines restricting advertising inside of Resonite. If you decide to advertise inside of your own home world, we're not going to come yell at you. Nuki asks, there's a subreddit. There was a whole post about the subreddit. We made an official subreddit. There's also an unofficial subreddit still kicking out there too, and that's a great place as well. You can, by the by, if you want to follow all sorts of silly socials that the team gets up to, head over to the Resonite Discord, which we often encourage people to jump into, and look just below the announcements channel where you'll see the socials feed. And that's just all the information that we generally throw out. You'll find things from the subreddit there, you'll find things from Twitch there, you'll find things from YouTube videos. Whenever things are posted, it's kind of a media devlog in some ways. You can just head over there and put an eyeball on all the sorts of stuff we're throwing out from week to week. If you go to the last post there, in fact, it seems like there's a Resonite moderation office hours that's live right now. Thank you, socials feed.
If they are streaming, and I'm going to check. Because let me check out the raids section here.
There is still a cat, and every time I pat him, he gets closer to the microphone, then falls over again.
Yep. Nuki, I see you streaming currently. So that's awesome.
Like it.
With that said, I would say that it is sort of slowing down by now, so I think we're fine to go ahead and start clicking over to that raid, and we will be raiding Nuki this time around, as they're currently our smallest streamer. There's only 2 streamers currently, them and Creator Jam.
Nuki
says, wait.
I'm holding on to it. Do you pet Veer? Well, I don't really have control over my hands today. They're present. They're here and they can wave back and forth. But I think the most I could do is float adjacent and wave my hands.
Ow. My left hand.
In his general direction, which is the closest one can pull off. I typically do like to be in VR, but I came back from a day with the family outside, and it was quite warm.
There we go.
Oh, that's horrifying, but present.
That's fun to do.
Here, you should pet get. He stole my head. That is similar in skeleton terms, I believe. The cultural differences you understand between furries and skeletons, but we do bridge these cultural divides.
Yeah, I mean, stealing bones is also very dog-like behavior, so I think we're all very accomplished today.
Indeed.
All right, with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and start the rating process. Nuki, be prepared to receive our viewers. I hope you guys enjoy the stream over at Nuki's stream, and I hope you guys have enjoyed today's stream as well. Also, I'm really hoping that the chat is working well for y'all. I know it's going to make things easier for those who want to actually go back and review the stream, or if they've missed the stream, it'll be up on YouTube. I'm going to put it up a little bit later. And the chat will actually be there, too. It's going to be awesome.
Indeed. And I hope everyone has a
folks.
fantastic week. No one melts in this incredibly hot summer so far. And we'll catch you next week. Again, same time, same location.
Yeah. All right, folks. Catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
And they're switching over. And let me go ahead and end.